another episode of FilmSpeak. I'm your host, Bill. Maniacal laugh, maniacal laugh.
Welcome back to another episode of FilmSpeak. I'm your host, Bill. Today we're going to be talking about some of my favorite things. I'm just going to skip right to the meat. We're going to be talking about North by Northwest. Such a groundbreaking, brilliant movie. I'm a huge Alfred Hitchcock fan. If you've watched the movie or FilmSpeak, you know that I love Alfred Hitchcock and I love Cary Grant. But first, we're going to be talking to my very special guest today. We have Mark Donahue joining us, author and soon-to-be movie mogul, and actress-producer Linda Jordan. Thank you guys for coming on today. So before we get to talking to them and then talking about the most excellent movie, North by Northwest, we're going to check out some radio spots brought in by Mark Donahue and some sizzle trailers. Now, for those of you not in the business, sizzle trailers are what you're doing when you're trying to make a movie. You make something to get people interested in it so that they'll want to invest money and build up support and everything for that film. So Mark Donahue was very kind enough to bring in these sizzle trailers to share with us. This is kind of a sneak peek on future projects that are going to be coming out, so I hope you enjoy. But before we go to those, I'm going to do a improv blues for my love of Alfred Hitchcock. Alfred Hitchcock's my favorite director. He makes the movies I want to see. He's the master of suspense. You know what that means. He's the director, and he makes the film psycho. He's the one who invented the close-in and the reverse fadeaway. Thank you very much. Let's get to the tables after these sizzle trailers.
In baseball news, Cincinnati called up their #1 draft choice from this year's amateur draft. 18-year-old Dylan Michael spent less than a month in the team's minor league system, where he hit a combined .406 with 12 home runs and 27 RBI. It's expected that Michael will start in center field tonight in Cincinnati's game against New York. Last at Bat, a novel by Mark Donahue, available at Joseph A. Beth, Barnes & Noble, and Books & Company. For Dylan Michael, life was a fastball. And he swung for the bleachers.
Here's the pitch. Michael swings, and there's a drive to deep left field.
He was on top of the world, only to come crashing down.
It is the order of this court that you be remanded to a federal penitentiary where you shall remain incarcerated for a term not less than 7 to 10 years.
that is? That's that baseball player. Everyone thinks he's dead.
Tragic news out of Cincinnati. Dylan Michael was killed in a plane crash.
If they find out he's alive, they're gonna send him back to prison.
He was a good man. He didn't deserve what happened to him. He didn't deserve it at all.
We're gonna give him a new identity, a new life.
Now, with visions of a life he can't recall, Dylan Michael is about to discover the man he used to be, the woman he always loved, and the game that made him shine.
I could have sworn I saw him today.
What is your take on the rumors that you are actually Dylan Michael?
Never stop loving you. Don't leave me again.
Not in this lifetime.
Dash is being walked home. He slides. He's safe. Three-run double has won the World Series. A hit that will never be forgotten by Cincinnati fans.
Last at bat. Coming soon.
myself. I'm a man of wealth and taste. I rode a tank, held a generous rank when the blitzkrieg raged and the bodies stank.
I need someone to help keep my daughter alive once I'm dead. You'll make a minimum of $1 million every 4 years for the rest of her life.
Take the bandages off. I'm going to help you open your eyes.
Hello?
I'll make all the life and death decisions while you're busy worrying about collateral damage.
Your mother's dead.
I know what you did to me. I could feel you.
We gotta get out of here.
You have to stop doing this.
I saw something.
Don't you get it? I'm in love with you.
I know what you did to me.
For the first time since the death of Dylan Michael, Cincinnati is back in the hunt for a pennant. To help get there, they sent 2 minor league pitchers to Seattle today for former All-Star pitcher Randy McDonald and minor league slugger Matt Wolff. McDonald had Tommy John surgery last year and, if healthy, could greatly enhance Cincinnati's rotation. Little is known about Wolff, although his stats suggest he may help the team offensively. Last at Bat, a novel by Mark Donahue, available at Joseph A. Beth, Barnes & Noble, and Books & Company.
Welcome back to FilmSpeak. Here we are for another great episode. I'm sitting here with my guest, Mark Donahue and Linda Jordan. Thank you guys for coming on the show today.
Great to be here. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill.
Now, I know we have a lot to talk about in a short amount of time, so I'm going to jump right to the meat. Talking with Mark Donahue. He is a magnificent author from the local area and has had a lot of success with his books and is now trying to turn his books into films. Which gets him on FilmSpeak. Big question is, how did you get into writing? What inspired you to want to be an author?
Well, I wrote in college, and I enjoyed writing. Then I found out you couldn't make a lot of money doing it back then. So I got into commercial real estate, but I always wrote on the side. I would write on airplanes and hotel rooms, and I'd do short stories and all those kinds of things. And I, like everybody else who's ever picked up a pen, I said I want to write a novel someday. So I did, on airplanes and so on. I would make notes. But I was coming back from a baseball tournament one night, and I was in the back of the airplane in the bathroom, getting up to wash my hands, and there was a lot of turbulence, and it knocked me into the ceiling. Knocked me down on the floor, and I'm wondering, as I'm hearing the stewardess say, "Everybody back to your seats immediately." Am I better off in here or back at my seat? You've always seen plane crashes, and the only thing that's left is the tail section. So I gave that a lot of thought before I went back to my seat. But as I did, I was thinking there, after coming back from a tournament, what would a person do if everybody else in the world thought you were dead? How would you start your life over if everyone thought you were dead? And that got me, because I'd been playing baseball that week, I linked it to a baseball story, a baseball player. And the story really began in the bathroom of a 747 coming back from Phoenix. So it ended up being in print.
That's crazy that where you get inspiration from can come from the wildest places. To have an experience where, like, oh my goodness, am I going to die? And then have that fuel into a story like that, and then come to right here and all into a novel and everything that's now being made into a movie.
Yeah, you're right. Things start off in strange ways, and a couple of other books I've written and scripts I've written have come from personal experiences. Maybe just a simple observation of somebody or something will morph into a 350-page book or a 120-page script. So it's. I remember coming home and telling my wife Marcia that I think I'm going to quit a really good job and get into writing books and movies. It wasn't a pleasant conversation, but she was very supportive and has been very helpful in rounding out characters and getting a female perspective and somebody who knows me. And so in terms of, being a team effort, it really has been a team effort. And then when I was able to meet Linda, she added another component to what our production team is all about. And we now have 14 people working on the books and the films, and it's very exciting. It's new. And so I think we're too dumb not to try some new things, you know, because we don't know the rules. And so we're going out there and doing a lot of, I think, new and exciting things to get our films made.
You know, when you're striving a path for yourself, sometimes it's not good to follow somebody else's path.
That's right.
You have to grab the machete and cut your own path through it,
Mm-hmm.
you know, to find out where you want to be. And it's good that you got that kind of support unit to be able to follow what your calling is, you know, because there's different types of wealth. And there's the wealth that is the enrichment of what you're doing. You know, when you're doing something that you love and you feel that inside of you, I think that makes a big difference.
I remember specifically I was in the board of directors of a large commercial real estate firm in Los Angeles, looking out the window and not paying attention at all to what was going on around me, thinking, I really don't like this. I really don't want to be here. And I think that was the impetus to finally say, what do you want to do? I want to write. I enjoy writing. And that, I'm not recommending that to anybody, by the way, to give up your day job. But at some point, you have to say either I'm going to do it or it's always going to be something I talk about. And I decided to do it, and we'll see where that leads.
So and I'm almost in the same boat with you, because I had reached a point where working so many different jobs, I'd always been a person who did physical jobs, contracting, building, whatnot, and realizing I was never getting ahead. And I wasn't doing something that I enjoyed. And if I was going to be poor and suffering, I might as well be poor and suffering doing something I love. You know, so and luckily, like you, I got the support of my family, you know, who said, we believe in you, we think you actually might be able to pull this off, so why don't you make a run at it? And it's just a great thing. Now, tell us a little bit about Last at Bat, but not just Last at Bat, because you have other projects, one specifically that I just love the premise of. And then afterwards, I'd love to hear from your involvement with Mark, because Linda, not just helping Mark produce and get these projects off the ground, but she's also a great actress also.
Oh, okay, thank you.
Yeah, tell us about a little bit more about Last at Bat and also the other projects and stuff that you have coming up.
Well, we have 3 projects. I've written 10 scripts. Each one of those scripts will become a novel. And what we wanted to do before we rolled out our business plan was to have stuff, to have product. So I spent 4 years basically writing scripts and novels. We wanted to have a backlog of things, and we wanted to create a slate of things. So we started with Last at Bat, and it's got a lot of press and a lot of critical, not reviews, but good critical acclaim so far. We have a nice rating on Amazon, and we're happy about that. As you being an artist, you understand, the first time when you write a book, you have somebody read it that's not a friend or a family, and they say they like it, it's the greatest feeling in the world.
Yeah.
Even if somebody doesn't like you and they say they like it, that's even better. So getting over that hump of maybe it is okay, maybe it's a pretty good book, that was exciting. And the story itself, people who have read it said it's a combination of Field of Dreams, The Natural, Bull Durham, An Affair to Remember, Rocky. All those comparisons have been made about the book, which makes me feel pretty good. But I think people who do read it will enjoy the feeling of it. And the great thing we have heard is that 9-year-old young men like it because of the baseball. We have 90-year-old young ladies who read it and like it. So that breadth of demographic has been rewarding. People seem to enjoy the story. So we went to Hollywood. I had some offers on the book rights, and we decided we were going to do it ourselves. And we felt we could do it. My partners and I just made that business decision that we were going to try this on our own. And I think we're pretty close to the goal line now. I have 2 other projects, novels that are coming out in 2015. One is called Fat Girl, which I got a lot of grief about from her about that title. But it's a dark, we were talking about a Blue Velvet before.
Yes.
It's a Blue Velvet-ish type film. I wanted to have something completely different than Last at Bat. And the 3rd novel that will be coming out is called Golden Reich, and it's a historical novel about something called the Rape of Europa, which is where the Nazis, near the end of the war, they started spiriting out gold and art out of Germany, and they, in my novel, they hide it in the safest place in the world they can, the United States. So the story is about two young guys who find the gold in our time period, and it goes back in time about what happened to the gold, how it got there. So we're excited about that. The problem with that, it's a pretty big budget film.
Yeah.
So we're started with Last at Bat and Fat Girl, which you know pretty well. And we're excited about getting those into the can sometime in 2015.
Yeah, Fat Girl is a very interesting, different story. Not really horror, not really drama, suspense. It's kind of this interwoven mixture of all of them. And for people who don't know, what Mark was talking about, having a slate of films, when you go to seek investments for films, if you have one film, you're not going to have a good chance of people jumping on it. But if you have 10 films, that increases the ratio of people having a success out of 10 films. And so you're more likely to get an investment on a block of 10 than you will a single one movie.
Exactly right.
So just in case you didn't know that, there's a little FYI for you. Now, Linda, what projects have you been up to? And I know that you've been helping Mark out a lot to get the word out and support Last at Bat and Fat Girl and everything coming out. What have you been up to lately, and how have you been working to promote these projects?
Working on Mark's things since I was here last March.
Yes.
And we were talking about Scripted, which was the audition / screen test play feature that Mark was working on, that we did a few performances of. Since then, we have morphed into looking for funding for the film, and we are launching an interesting, fascinating project, the search for Dylan Michael, which I think Mark will probably be able to talk to maybe a bit more.
Which we'll have information on that at the end of the show also,
yes.
Because you guys are doing a nationwide search to find 3 actors to play a character at 3 different points in his life, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah. So it's a big nationwide search, so it doesn't matter if you watch this on YouTube and you live in Anchorage, Alaska, submit.
That's right.
That's right. That's right.
It's at lastabatthemovie.com, as a matter of fact, if you're interested in being part of the project. We decided when we were casting for the lead character in Last at Bat's Dylan Michael, and we had done some auditions for young men to play those roles at 8 years old, 15, and 20, I think. And they were great actors, but they couldn't throw a baseball and they couldn't swing a bat. So we were watching the Little League World Series on TV, and these guys were being interviewed, and they were funny and charming and great athletes, and the repartee between the players was clear. And I told our director, G.J. Reed, I said, those are our Dylan Michaels. So we've decided to roll it out with a search for Dylan Michael, and it's in full force and effect right now. So again, lastaboutthemovie.com if you have interest.
Please check it out. It can be hard to find because, like, I know Kevin Costner and Robert Redford, when they were in college, they both played baseball.
Kevin Costner played minor league ball.
Yeah, so that made it really easy for them to work on that.
It is, and it's very interesting that you'll ask people what your favorite baseball movies are. And depending on whether you are a baseball fan or you played, the answer can be very different. Those that played ball will very frequently say The Natural.
Yeah. Well, we were arguing about this yesterday because The Natural is one of my favorite baseball movies.
Well, as a baseball player myself in high school and college and semi-pro, I've always loved Bull Durham.
Yeah.
Because Kevin Costner could play. I mean, he was a switch hitter, he could throw, and it made it so believable. And to the other side of that equation, if you've ever seen the Babe Ruth story with John Goodman.
Yeah.
Well, John Goodman clearly had never picked up a bat in his life, and he's playing Babe Ruth, which just ruined the whole story for those of us who have played baseball. So our goal here in our film is to bring in guys who can really play some ball.
So that, when you're watching that, it's more than what your mind sees, it's what your mind feels.
That's right.
Because, you know, you can pick up on that. It's like contractors, you know, when you got an actor playing somebody who's a contractor and stuff, there's a certain way you walk, you talk, you know, and if you don't nail that, that's why I respect actors who will, when they're playing a character, they will go for 2 or 3 months, to do the research, to put in the time to research.
gained 50 pounds. Yeah.
Seeing a baseball film with a bad actor is like seeing a jet in the sky in a Western.
Yeah.
You know, it just ruins the whole thing. So that's what we've tried to overcome, and I think we're on the right track.
You talk about Bull Durham. I just have to say my favorite scene in the whole movie is when they're all out in the baseball mound. And they're out there arguing, what do we get for a wedding present? And the guy comes out there, he's like, candlesticks are nice, this, that, let's go back and play ball.
That's right.
Yeah.
Love that scene.
Yes.
Well, thank you guys for coming and joining us. Is there any last tidbits you'd like to get out to our handful of viewers?
Well, we are announcing, in fact, it will have been announced, that we're doing a Kickstarter and Indiegogo initiative that begins in March of 2015. So you can check us out there as well.
That'll be shortly after this episode comes out. And as it comes out, we'll have information and stuff that you'll be able to find that. And also thelastatbat.com. That'll be at the end credits, so you can check that out and be able to keep up with the movie. And the Indiegogo, I'm sure, will be announced, and the Kickstarter will be announced on that website and stuff too. So yeah, you'll be able to find out and give generously to independent film. Please support film in the area. And please stick around to talk about North by Northwest. Just that incredible Hitchcock movie. Thank you very much. We'll see you in a minute. Welcome back to FilmSpeak. Here we are in the second segment of the show where we break down a film, and today it's another favorite of mine, which, when do we hardly talk about a movie that's not one of my favorites? Yeah. But North by Northwest, this is a huge impact on me. Alfred Hitchcock in general. I would say out of any other director, his work has influenced how I look at films. When I'm out in a crowd or on a bus and when I look out the window, it's why I see things in shots. I don't see things normally anymore. When I look around, I see them, oh, that's a nice shot. Oh, I would have to take that from that other side. And that's because of Hitchcock. I think Hitchcock did that to me. I think he's one of the most influential directors on filmmaking, period. The techniques that he developed. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's turn here to Mark Donahue and Linda Jordan. We're all going to weigh in our opinions on Hitchcock and the fabulous Cary Grant film, North by Northwest. We'll start with you this time, Linda, since we started with Mark last time. Yes. What do you think about the film, North by Northwest?
Flat out, and you both know this, setting me up, it is not my favorite Hitchcock film. That is not to say that I don't think it is a great film, and it had many of the aspects and trademarks, hallmarks of Hitchcock in them. So it's difficult to effervesce about a movie that you don't enjoy as much. And having watched it again, I was 4 years old when this film was made. So I didn't see it originally, I've just rewatched it recently. And a couple of things I noticed about it, stuck out particularly, was I know they didn't have cell phones then, but Cary Grant never ran out of money. Did you notice that? Everywhere he went, and he didn't use plastic.
Yeah.
So that, I think, was a time capsule, actually, of what the times were, that you carried the cash, you had the cash. So
you had to have it on you.
Yeah, so that struck me. And of course, when he's in the cornfield, the back of my mind thought, well, pull out your, oh yeah, he doesn't have a phone. There's no cell phone. But if that were shot today, some of these movies you couldn't do today because you would be required to put in the modern aspects. And this is why I enjoy the filmmaking aspect of North by Northwest, because it takes us back to another time. It's a time capsule, and it's a great story. So.
Well, I liked it. And I don't know if I liked it because it was Hitchcockian in the way he set up the MacGuffins, which is a misleading hint in every Hitchcock story that leads you astray thinking you're going down one path. The example in Psycho, as an example, is the money that's stolen at the beginning. It has nothing to do with the story.
Yeah.
But he had all those kinds of misleading hints in a film that took you down a different path. I don't know if I like this because Hitchcock did it or because Cary Grant was in it. Because I don't think I ever saw a Cary Grant film I did not like. So maybe had somebody else directed, I still would have liked it a lot. But I did like it. And talk about some inconsistencies and things. Did you ever notice that blue suit? He was being chased by airplanes, getting in fights, and it always looked perfect.
Yeah,
even at the end.
That is true.
When he got to the hotel, remember he had to call up and it had to be sponged and pressed.
True.
You know,
but
so that I appreciated that.
And the same shirt he had on, even at the very end, the white shirt.
Oh, speaking of the shirt, did you notice when he's in the hospital after he's been shot? I'm afraid I'm giving things away here if you haven't seen it.
Oh, if you haven't seen it, then
get a life. Yeah.
Get a life, yeah. The shirt.
Leo G. Carroll brings in, here's a shirt and slacks for you to put on for the next few days. He says, okay, fine. Well, he pulls the shirt out of the package, and it's all wrinkled. It's not a brand new shirt because clearly they had done prior takes.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of thing I look for now by virtue of people like you and Mark.
Context issues.
Context issues, yeah. But you wouldn't notice that or care, just as a film fan and watching this for entertainment.
Well, yeah, so, when you're because I know when I enjoy a film, I break it down.
Yeah.
So I can watch it 10, 20 times.
How do you do? Can you I will try to watch a film first time. Don't stop it. Don't restart it. Just watch it. Just bring
Just
it all
watch
in.
it to watch it.
Yeah.
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 I am the same way.
Yeah.
And then if it marks me, if there's something about it that puts its hooks into me,
Mhm.
and then that's when I watch it again and I'm thinking, why'd they choose this color scheme for this character? Why are they filming this person with this kind of shot and then this scene with this kind of shot? You know, what's the differences? Like North by Northwest. Why was Cary Grant in the left side of the frame of every shot? Almost every shot, he's in the left side of the frame. And you know, there has to be a reason why Hitchcock did that. Hitchcock didn't do anything like that because he was all about the missing scene.
Mhm.
You know, and I know when people think left, you think left-handed, right-handed. A
Yeah.
lot of times, left. You know, they used to think it was evil.
Yes,
There's always something
yeah.
wrong with the left. So I was wondering if that meant that there was an underlying mystery with Cary Grant's character. Maybe he really was more involved in everything than he actually pretended to be because he was always on the left side of the screen. Things like that.
I wonder if that had more to do with vanity. Because remember,
Because
my
his-
good side. Have you
Well,
got my good side?
That's funny that you would say that. The
Because-
bishop's wife,
Yes.
Cary Grant.
Yes.
The scene with him and the girl.
Loretta
they-
Young.
Yeah, Loretta Young.
Yeah.
They had to film that into a mirror because each one wanted their good side filmed. But their good side was the same side. They'd have to be sitting, looking the same direction. So they set a mirror up, and she's actually talking into a mirror with Cary Grant, and that's how they got them both
Really?
to show their good side.
Wow.
Who would know, though?
Yeah.
You know?
I would
So
now
it's-
have to look at it again and watch it with that more critical eye.
I know, it's just, it's crazy, and you can't really tell.
Can you ever relax and just watch a movie and
No.
not? Yeah.
No. Well, I take that back. I take that back. If a movie is really good, I don't
get
think
lost.
about anything else. I get sucked into the story. I cry.
Yeah.
I'll laugh. I mean, if a movie is good enough, I will give heart-wrenching sobs at the end of it. I'm not ashamed to admit. I will, if it's good enough, I will emotionally invest every part of me and just go along for the ride.
You know, it's funny when you mentioned as a director, but as a writer, I write scripts, and I see things now in films I did not see before. And in North by Northwest, if you recall at the very end of the film, when he is reaching down for her and she's hanging off the nose of one of the presidents, and all of a sudden the next scene is he's pulling her up into the berth on the train. Now, that's a great device to eliminate maybe 5 pages of how he saves her and pulls her up and all those things. And I'm not sure you could get away with that today, but he did, because it was Hitchcock.
They still do it. Alfred Hitchcock actually invented that technique. I think it was in The Lady Vanishes when he was still doing movies in England, where the main character has to escape. He's in the police interrogation room, and the fire alarm goes off and water starts spraying everywhere. And then the next shot is he's out on a bus stop drying himself off and putting his hat on, and they don't explain how he gets from one to the other. They just, Alfred Hitchcock, let your mind fill in the blanks. Yeah.
And he got a lot of grief from that, not a lot of grief, but some critics critiqued that particular scene because you had to believe a lot. Like she was ready to die, he was ready to drop her, and he just pulls her up, and it was a great scene. It was a great scene, but it takes a lot of guts as a director to do that.
I can't remember the name of the writer, but I guess North by Northwest was born actually while he was filming Vertigo. He heard the true story of during World War II, MI6, the British Secret Service, took a body and stuck fake invasion plans in it and dropped it off in Italy to mislead. And he was a fake agent. He wasn't a real guy, wasn't a real agent, but they made him up with a backstory, put all these fake plans on it, and dropped the body off in Italy so that the Nazis would find it and be misled to where the invasion was happening. And that got Hitchcock stuck on the idea of somebody who didn't really exist being an agent. And he went to a writer and gave him 3 directions: mistaken identity, a train, and a fight on Mount Rushmore. And just from those 3 directions, the writer wrote North by Northwest.
It's funny, I read behind the scenes on that the other day, and the vast majority of that film was filmed in a studio.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is, to me, I thought they were on location all the time in South Dakota. They fooled me. You know. It was mostly in the studio.
Well, it's like a Rear Window. He had a warehouse. They actually had to dig out 7 feet of the floor to be able to fit building the apartment building in a soundstage.
Yes, yeah.
And that whole sunrise is just lights
Now,
coming up. That's
there
brilliant.
you go. A brilliant Alfred Hitchcock film, and one I loved. Because that has Jimmy Stewart in, which, you know, that has points right
Well, you know,
there.
Jimmy Stewart originally wanted to play North by Northwest.
Really?
Did he?
I did not know that.
When Hitchcock was doing Vertigo, he had lunch with Jimmy Stewart and says, I got this great idea, Mistaken Identity, told him the whole plot of North by Northwest, and Jimmy Stewart thought Hitchcock was telling him because he wanted him to be in it, but Hitchcock wanted Cary Grant, but he didn't want to disappoint Jimmy Stewart. So he sat on North by Northwest for 3 years, till Jimmy Stewart was involved in Anatomy of a Murder. He was involved in Anatomy of a Murder, and he went to him and said, I'm ready to do this now. And Jimmy Stewart was like, I can't, my hands are tied. He's like, oh, it's too bad, I'll go with Cary Grant.
Very slick, very slick.
But he wasn't disappointed because but Grant did 4 films with Hitchcock.
Yes.
And I can think of 2, 3 with Stewart. Rear Window, The Man Who Knew Too Much, and is there another one?
Rope.
Rope. That's, oh gosh,
Vertigo.
that's right.
Vertigo.
Oh yeah.
He got a share.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he did.
Which I love Rope. If anybody's ever had a conversation with me about filmmaking, I consider Rope to be the standard. You want to be a director, you want to use a camera, you haven't seen Rope, you need to see that.
Yeah.
Well, because it's almost all in one take.
Yeah.
There is one edit that I know of, and that's it. Because Hitchcock had these giant camera reels that were 50 minutes long built. Because you know most of them are 10 minutes long.
Yeah.
He had these 50-minute reels built, and it was all on trams. So there's movement constantly. It's not like it's a static shot, but boy, such a brilliant film.
Yeah.
I love Hitchcock.
Yeah. I can see why.
And talking about North by Northwest, the original title of the movie, some trivia, because you know I have a habit of doing this. The original name was In a Northwesterly Direction. And it was changed, suggested by a writer to change it North by Northwest because it's a line from Hamlet. We were talking about this. I ruined it for my guest because I already brought this up. But the line from Hamlet is, I am mad when the wind blows north by northwest. When it blows south, I can tell a hacksaw from a hawk. So that's where they got one of my favorite Hitchcock movies, taken from one of my favorite Shakespeare plays, too. Is there any final thoughts on Cary Grant, North by Northwest?
Well, you mentioned we were talking about the MacGuffin before, and the title, of course, is one in itself. But one of the key scenes is they get on a plane, a Northwest Airlines plane, and they fly north.
Yeah.
And that was one place that the film title was also coming from.
Because they go north.
They go north.
On North by Northwest.
That's right.
That's right. On Northwest.
And to the credits. That was the first time, I think you would probably be aware of this, Bill, that they had used animated
credit sequence.
titles. Yeah, it's the green screen that comes with moving, and then it morphs into the grid, and then it morphs into the reflection.
And that was the first time they used that. You got a new one on me. I did not know that.
Oh my gosh.
And it's here on television, so everybody knows.
And who won the
Hold
1952
I'm going
World Series?
to pick George Washington. Well, thank you guys very much for coming on and talking about one of my favorite movies. And I hope as projects develop that you guys keep coming back on.
Oh,
thank you very much.
We'll look forward to it. Thank you.
And be looking out. It's lastatbatmovie.com.
Lastatbatthemovie.com.
Lastatbatthemovie.com. It'll also be in the credits. Please keep up on it. And thank you guys for joining us. And find out more information about these guys. They're amazing. Thank you for coming on FilmSpeak. Don't worry about fading out. I'll just do one of these. This tells me where to edit.
So if you're going to do that, you can start whenever you want to.
That was a great show. I got to talk about North by Northwest and to hear from Mark Donahue and Linda Jordan what they've been up to and their upcoming projects. Some really big, exciting stuff. And it's all coming from Dayton, Ohio here. This is Important Matters in Film, and I hope that you can go out, support indie film, and not just film. Go out there and support local artists, painters. There's musicians out there all over Dayton, Ohio, the greater Dayton area, and even beyond those reach. Give some credit to the people who are out there struggling. And go see some independent movies. Now, if you'd like to keep track with us, keep up with FilmSpeak on Facebook, on Talk Films to Me, /Facebook.com or Facebook /TalkFilmsToMe.com. It's something like that. But check us out, and we'll see you guys next time. Thank you very much. Movies, which that's a Neil Simon with Peter Falk, Madeline Kahn, as David Niven is in it. Yeah, it's just a classic spoof comedy. Yeah, I'm ready. Whenever you guys are. Start off on the last at bat book, and then bring it up, and I'll start talking. Unless you've already done that and I'm being filmed, then we'll just keep going.
I think they should have gotten all this that we've just been talking about. Clever repartee.
Little BTS.
That's right.